Hi students, how are you all? So, have you all finished your homework and the study portions? So, if not, finish it as soon as possible. Okay? Finish all the study portions, whatever I am saying, okay? So, we are studying the unit 18, right? Early resistance of British rule, and up to 18.1 we finished. Now it's 18.2, right? So, let us start the 18.2, okay? Now we are going to study about early resistance of Southern Palayakaras against the British rule, okay? So, early resistance means what? Again, it is known as edirpu, okay? The early resistance of who? Southern Palayakaras. So, in the last class we studied about the resistance of who? The Mysore wars, okay, again the Marathas, okay. So now we are going to study about the resistance of Southern Palayakaras against the British. So the Palayakaras. So in this lesson we are going to study about the Palayakaras. So first one is the origin of Palayams and the Palayakaras. The origin of Palayams, where its origin. So Palayams, what is Palayams and what is Palayakaras, okay? So let's see. After the decline of Vijayanagar Empire, Nagama Nayak, who arrived as the viceroy to Madurai, and his son Vishwanatha Nayak asserted themselves as independent rulers of Madurai and Tirunelveli, okay. So after the decline means what? Veerchi, okay. So after the decline of who? The decline of Vijayanagar Empire. So who arrived? Nagama Nayak arrived as the viceroy to Madurai. So Nagama Nayak arrived as the viceroy to Madurai, and his son Vishwanatha Nayak asserted themselves as independent ruler of Madurai and Tirunelveli. Now who became the ruler of Madurai and Tirunelveli? Vishwanatha Nayak, who was the son of Nagama Nayak, okay. So now under the able guidance of Prime Minister Ariyanatha Mudaliar. So Ariyanatha Mudaliar guided the Vishwanatha Nayak, okay. He was the guidance of the Prime Minister. He was the Prime Minister at that time. Okay, Ariyanatha Mudaliar. All the little kingdoms of the former Pandyan Empire were classified into 72 Palayams. So what is Palayam? All the kingdoms were classified. The kingdom were divided into Palayams. So how many Palayams are there? 72 Palayams. So each Palayams were ruled by a person called Palayakarar. So Palayams, so who is Palayakarar? The one who owned a territory, or the Palayam is known as what? Palayakarar, okay. Vishwanatha Nayak constructed a formidable fort around Madurai. Formidable fort means what? Valimai Miginda, okay. Valimai Miginda Kotai, okay. Formidable fort around where? Madurai city, which consisted of 72, what is it? Bastions. So how many? 72 bastions. Each of them was placed under a chief. So each of the 72 Palayams were ruled by a chief, that is called the Palayakarar, okay. The next one, you just listen the box. The origin of the Palayakarar or the Polygar. The Palayakarar is also otherwise known as Polygar. The system dated back to the 1530. It is believed that the system was practiced earlier in Kakatiya kingdom was Warangal. So the Palayakarar system was first introduced in where? Kakatiya kingdom of Warangal, okay. the literal meaning of the Palayakarar. So what is the actual meaning of the Palayakarar? Means the holder of a camp as well as the holder of a estate on military tenure. So he is the holder. Palayakarar means the holder of a camp, estate and the military tenure. So under the territory a camp was there, an estate, a military tenure is also there. Okay, so the one who hold such things were known as the Palayakarar. Okay, prior to the enforcement of this system, Sarvaikarars and Talayaris collected. So he gave prior to the enforcement of the system, they were known as Sarvaikarars and Talayaris. What's their role? They collected fees for police work. Okay, so their role is to collect the fees for police work. After the creation of Palayam, the Sarvaikaras turned Palayakarar. So till then their work is to collect the fee for the police. And once the Palayakarar system was instituted, or once the Palayam was created, the Sarvaikaras turned as he is also a Palayakarar. He ruled a Palayam and subordinated Talayaris to their authority. Okay, so a Palayakarar was bound to pay a fixed annual tribute. So they want to pay a annual tribute means what? Kappam. Okay, kappam kattradu. Okay, have to pay annual tribute or supply troops. Troop means what? Padai veerargal. Okay, supply troops to the king. So what's their duty? They want to collect the tax and supply troops to the king and to keep order and peace. They want to maintain order and the peace over a particular area. Okay, in order to enable him to perform these duties and attended to their service, a certain number of villages were granted for revenue collection. So for all these we need money, right? So they granted revenue for the villages and they collect the revenue from the people. In addition, he was presented with several titles and the privileges. So the people, the Palayakarar, they were presented with several titles and the privileges, honors. Okay, Palayakarar had judicial power. The Palayakarar has judicial power and dispensed justice over civil and criminal cases. Okay, they have the judicial power and they have the justice over what? Because they have the right to enforce the judicial power as well as the civil and the criminal cases. Okay, next one, on the based on the topological distribution was புவியியல் அடிப்படை. Okay, புவியியல் in Tamil topological is called புவியியல். Based on the topographical distribution, they were classified as Western Palayams and the Eastern Palayams. So each of the Palayams were divided into Western Palayam and the Eastern Palayam. The Palayams held by Maravar chieftains were mostly in the Western Palayam of Tirunelveli. So Western Palayam were ruled by Maravas. Okay, Maravas in Tirunelveli. The settlement of, so where what people lived, the settlement of means Balvidam, the settlements of Telugu migrants, the one who migrated from the Telugu and there in the back soil tracts, then lying in the eastern part of the Tirunelveli. Then those part left parts under Nayak Palayakara. So eastern part were ruled by Nayaks and the western part were ruled by Maravas. Okay, so then the revolt of Palayakaras. Okay, revolt means what? Kilarchi or Puratchi. Okay, the revolt of Palayakarar. So the Palayakarar also, they started to revolt against the British. Let's see why. The Nawab of Orkot, who had borrowed heavily by pledging the village in several parts of Tamil Nadu. So Nawab of Orkot, he borrowed many amount from the village in several parts of Tamil Nadu. Okay, they entrusted the collecting land revenue arrears to the company administration. they have the task of collecting the land revenue arrears, the balance amount to the company administration. Yusuf Khan, remembered as Khan Sahib, had been employed as the commander of the company's Indian troops. So who became the commander? Yusuf Khan. Okay, Khan Sahib had been employed as the commander of the company's Indian troop. He was entrusted not only with the command of the force but also with the collection of revenue. So what was their job? Their job was not only for the command of the force but also the collection of the revenue. As the request of the Nawab, the force of 500 European and 200 Sepoys ordered to proceed into the countries of Madurai and Tirunelveli to assist him. So many of the Sepoys and European forces were proceed along to the Madurai and the Tirunelveli to assist the Khan Sahib. Okay, the encroachment of East India Company administration means encroachment means what? They have to the adhikaram. Okay, the encroachment of East India Company administration into the Palekara authorities aroused stiff resistance. Okay, encroached, nuzhairadu. Okay, the encroachment of East India Company, the people entered into the East India Company into the Palekara authority. Okay, aroused stiff resistance. Okay, கடுமையான எதிர்ப்பை ஏற்படுத்தியது. Okay, then Mahfuz Khan. Who is Mahfuz Khan? Arcot Nawab's elder brother. Who is Mahfuz Khan? He was the Arcot Nawab of Arcot. The elder brother of Nawab of Arcot is the Mahfuz Khan, was appointed by the Nawab as his representative in those territories. Okay, he was appointed by the Nawab as his representatives for those territories. Then Mahfuz Khan along with Colonel Hiran proceeded towards Tirunelveli. Okay, he proceeded towards Tirunelveli. They easily took Madurai. An expedition was sent to reduce Kattabomman. Okay, so the Colonel Heron started an expedition, means along with this troop they moved to Kattabomman, the Palekara of Panjalamkurchi, but he had to be recalled. So who was Kattabomman? He was the Palekara of Panjalamkurchi. Okay, he ruled the Panjalamkurchi territory. While returning, the Colonel Heron was urged to storm the fort of Neerkattum Seval. So when he returned back to his place, he urged to storm he also make a fight in Neerkattum Seval, which is in Tirunelveli district. Okay, it's Palekarar Pulitevar. So who was the Palekarar of Neerkattum Seval? Pulitevar. Okay, wielded enormous influences over the western Palayakarar. Okay, see, as we studied, 72 Palayams are there. So each 72 Palayams have each Palayakarar are also there. So Kattabomman, Pulitevar, Dhiran Chinnamalai, so even the Velunacha, these are all the Palayakarars. Okay, these are all the persons known as Palayakarar, they who ruled over the Palayams, ruled the territories. Okay, for want of cannon and of supply and pay of soldiers. So they provide the soldiers and the military equipments or the military guns, ammunition to the people. They pay to the soldiers, to the company. The attack of Colonel Heron has to be abandoned and force retired to Madurai. Then see in this box, Yusuf Khan born as Marudanayagam belonged to Ramanathapuram district. So Yusuf Khan, he is born as boy, he named as Marudanayagam. He belonged to Ramanathapuram district. When in Pondicherry, he embraced Islam. Okay, so embraced Islam means Islam. Islam Samudayatha in the Thalvinar. Okay, he embraced Islam. He joined the company of Sepoys under Clive in 1572 and participated in the siege of Tiruchirappalli. He also participated in Tiruchirappalli during the year 1752 to 54. From 56 to 71, he was in charge of the district of Madurai and Tirunelveli and governor under the Madras government. Okay, so which has been controlling them too. They belong to the Nawab of Arcot. Then he defeated whom? Hyder Ali. Okay, he defeated Hyder Ali. Yusuf Khan defeated Hyder Ali and captured Solavandan. So who defeated Hyder Ali? Yusuf Khan defeated Hyder Ali and captured where? Solavandan. At the time Lali's siege of Madras, he rendered splendid service to the English. So his service more to the English. As one in charge of the administration of Madurai and Tirunelveli region, he encouraged the weaving industry of Madurai. So he encouraged the weaving industry. Ninth, okay, he encouraged the weaving industry of Madurai. He gave a fixed amount for the conduct of worship in the temple of Madurai and retrieved the temple land. So he gave amount to reconstruct the temples and he retrieved the temple lands. Instead he get the temple lands in return. Okay, Yusuf Khan rebelled because the English ordered him to save the Nawab of Arcot. So Yusuf Khan also started revolt against the British East India Company. Why? Because English ordered Yusuf Khan to serve the Nawab of Arcot. He wanted to save for the Nawab of Arcot. So he started rebelled against English. Okay, then three Pathan officers, Nawab Chanda Sahib agents named Minaha, Mudiaha and Nabikan Katak, okay, commanded the Madurai and Tirunelveli region. So who commanded the Madurai and Tirunelveli region? The Pathan officers, okay, commanded the Tirunelveli and Madurai region. They supported Tamil Palayakkarars. So they supported who? The Tamil Palayakkarars. Against whom? They supported against Nawab of Arcot. Who was the Nawab of Arcot? Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was the Nawab of Arcot. Okay, Pulithevar had established close relationship with them. Okay, the Pulithevar also have a close relationship with them. The Palayakkarars of Udumalai, Surandai, Talaivan Kotai, Naduvakuruchi, Singambatti, Urkad, Seithur, Kollamkondan and Vadakkarai joined Pulithevar's confederacy. Confederacy means what? Kootamaipu. See, all the Palayakkarars, they joined together to fight against the British. Okay, these are all the in olden days. Now all these places are also there, right? Many places you might have know. So in olden days it was when the Palayakkara rules, these places were known as Palayams. Okay, they all these Palayakkarars where they joined under whom? Pulithevar confederacy with the promise of restoring Kalakkadu. They want to restore what? Kalakkadu from the British. Okay, Pulithevar has already won over the ruler of Travancore to his confederacy. Pulithevar also started to regained the Travancore to his confederacy. Confederacy means Kootamaipu. Okay, Nawab on his side sent an additional contingent of sepoys of Mahfuz Khan and the reinforced army proceeded to Tirunelveli. Okay, so everyone is moving to where? Tirunelveli. Beside 1,000 sepoys of the company, Mahfuz Khan received 600 more sent by the Nawab. He also had the support of cavalry. So he get the support to defeat the British. Okay, 600 cavalry and also the received 600 sepoys and the support of cavalry means what? Kudirai Pade. And foot soldiers, that is the infantry from the Carnatic. Before Mahfuz Khan could station his troop near Kalakkadu, 2,000 soldiers from the Travancore joined the force of Tirunelveli. So they want to regain the Kalakkadu, right? So 200 soldiers from the Travancore joined the force of Pulithevar. In the battle of Kalakkadu, Mahfuz Khan troop were trounced means what? Tortured. Okay, they failed in the battle. So who won? The Pulithevar won and he restored the were Kalakkadu. Okay. The organized resistance of the Palayakkarars under Pulithevar gave an opportunity to the British to interfere directly in the affairs of Tirunelveli. Okay, so the organized resistance of the Palayakkarars under Pulithevar. So the Pulithevar gave resistance to Palayakkarar. Okay, so he gave an opportunity to the British to interfere where in the affairs of Tirunelveli. So the British also interfere in which affair? Tirunelveli's affair. Then from 1756 to 1763, aided frequently by Travancore, the Palayakkarars of Tirunelveli led by Pulithevar. So Palayakkarar of Tirunelveli led by whom? Pulithevar were in the constant state of rebellion against the authority of Nawab. Okay. Then Yusuf Khan, who had been sent by the company, would not venture to attack Pulithevar unless the big gun and ammunition from the Tiruchirappalli arrived. So Yusuf Khan sent a troop. Okay, sent a troop means send the soldiers to attack who? Pulithevar. But what happened? Big gun and ammunition. Ammunition means what? Vedi marundugal. Okay, guns and the military. What is it? What are the things they used for the war? Okay, military wars. That is ammunition from Tiruchirappalli arrived. So as the English were involved in a war with the French as well as with the Hyder Ali and Marathas, big gun arrived only in September 1760. So big gun were arrived. Okay, they got big gun to attack against the English. Yusuf Khan began to batter the Neerkattam Sebel fort and his attack continued for about 2 months. So Yusuf Khan settled in the Neerkattam Sebel and he continued his war for nearly 2 months. On 16th May 1716, Pulithevar's 3 major forts, namely Neerkattam Sebel. So what are the 3 major forts of Pulithevar's? Neerkattam Sebel, Vasudevanallur and Panayur. Okay, so these are the 3 major forts of Pulithevar. It's so came under the control of Yusuf Khan. So all these were attacked by whom? Yusuf Khan. So all these were now under the control of Yusuf Khan. After taking Pondicherry, the English commanded respect as they had eliminated the French from the picture. Then the unity of Palayakkarar began to break up as the French support was not forthcoming. Now see, many of the Palayakkarar, they united to fight against the Yusuf Khan, right? But it was breaking up. Then Travancore, Saithur, Udumalai and Surandai switched their loyalty. They switch off from the unity. Then Yusuf Khan, who was negotiating with the Palayakkarar without informing the company administration, was charged with the trickery and hanged in 1764. Trickery means what? Droha Kuttachat. Okay, so Yusuf Khan, who was negotiating, he negotiated with the Palayakkarar. So Yusuf Khan was the opposite to Palayakkarar, but he negotiated with the Palayakkarar without informing the whom? Without informing the English East India Company. He negotiated with the Palayakkarar, but he was charged with the trickery and hanged it. So English East India Company, they trickery means droha kuttachat against Yusuf Khan and hanged him. In which year? Hanged the Yusuf Khan in 1764. Okay. Then Pulithevar, who had taken asylum means what? Tanjam adairathu. Okay. Pulithevar, who had taken asylum elsewhere after the forts were taken over by Yusuf Khan. Okay. Taken by the Yusuf Khan, returned and began to organize against the British. So then Captain Campbell, who was sent this time by British, laid siege and captured Neerkattam Sebel. So then Captain Campbell captured Neerkattam Sebel in which year? 1767. So nothing is definitely known about the last days of Pulithevar. So there was no more information about the Pulithevar in his last days. Then Velu Nachiyar. The Setupathis ruled the area that covered Ramanathapuram, Shivagangai, Virudunagar and Pudukkottai district on the present day. Okay, who was Velu Nachiyar? She was the queen of Shivagangai. Okay, Setupathi ruled the area that covered where, which area? Ramanathapuram, Shivagangai, Virudunagar, Pudukkottai district. Okay, Velu Nachiyar was the daughter of Chellamuthu Sethupathi. So she was the daughter of who? Chellamuthu Sethupathi, the Raja of Ramanathapuram. Okay, she married. So she married who? Muthu Badugar Periya Udayar. So she married, Velu Nachiyar married Muthu Badugar Periya Udayar, the Raja of what? Shivagangai, and had a daughter named, what's the name of daughter of Velu Nachiyar? Velachi Nachiyar. When her husband was killed by Nawab, so his husband Muthu Baduganadar was killed by Nawab's force, Velu Nachiyar escaped with her daughter and lived under the protection of whom? Hyder Ali. At where he lived? Virupachi. Virupachi is in where? Near Dindigul. For how many years? 8 years he lived. Then during this period she organized an army. So by this period she organized an army, because Nawab of Arcot, they killed, Nawab forces killed her husband, right? So he organized an army against the Nawabs. Okay, she organized an army and succeeded in securing an alliance with, so he got alliance means Kootali. Okay, he company with whom? Gopala Nayakar and Hyder Ali. In 1780, Rani Velu Nachiyar fought the British. They fought the whom? British with military forces from whom? Gopala Nayakar and Hyder Ali, and she won the battle. Okay, the Nawab of Arcot placed many obstacles to the advancement of the Rani's troops. However, she overcome all the hurdles and entered Shivagangai. Okay, so the Nawab of Arcot was defeated and taken captive. The Velu Nachiyar again recaptured Shivagangai and she was crowned queen with the help of Marudu brothers. So she fought with the help of whom? Gopala Nayakar and the Hyder Ali. The Velu Nachiyar fought against the British and again she recaptured Shivagangai and again crowned as a queen with the help of Marudu brothers. So the Velu Nachiyar, in symbol, the Velu Nachiyar was known as the queen of Shivagangai. Okay, so after ascending the throne, because after became the queen, Velu Nachiyar appointed Chinna Marudu as her advisor. See, Marudu brothers means who and all? Chinna Marudu and Periya Marudu is the known as the Marudu brothers. Okay, they are the two brothers, Marudu brothers. Chinna Marudu as her advisor and the Periya Marudu as her commander. Okay, so in 1783 the English forces invaded Shivagangai again, but in 1783 again they invaded, they attacked Shivagangai again. This time the Marudu Pandyan saved the place by some diplomatic moves. Marudu Pandya again saved it. In 1790, Velachi Nachiyar, the daughter of Velu Nachiyar, who was married to Vengan Periya Udayathevar, who became the king of Shivagangai state due to compromise formula of the Englishmen. Okay, Englishmen died under mysterious circumstances. So by the meantime, Velachi Nachiyar, who was the Velachi Nachiyar? The daughter of Velu Nachiyar. She married whom? Vengan Periya Udayathevar. Okay, and she became the king of Shivagangai. But what happened? The Vengan, his Velachi Nachiyar's husband, died under mysterious circumstances. Mysterious circumstances means what? Under the difficult situations or without any what is it? It was not a normal death. It was a mysterious death. Okay, the Velu Nachiyar became, so her husband died. Then Velu Nachiyar became sick and died in 3 years later in 1796. Okay, so she also died in 1796. Okay, so here one box is there. What is that? Velu Nachiyar employed her intelligence. So how So by the meantime when she were under the he secured by Gopala Nayakar and the Hyder Ali, right? So in the meantime, Velu Nachar employed her intelligence gather agents to discover whether the British stored their ammunition. Okay, so what he did, Velu Nachar, so for the 8 years he were lived in some other places, right? He were under the control, under the security of who? Hyder Ali and the Marudu brothers, right? So what they do, in the meantime he found whether the British, where the British stored their ammunition. British எங்க வெடிப்பொருட்களை வச்சிருக்காங்க. So he stored their ammunition. He found the place, and one of her follower Queely, so he destroyed the ammunition, the place where the British stored their ammunition. So he destroyed. How she destroyed? One of her follower Queely. Okay, Queely means one of her follower. What is it? One of her soldier doused herself with the oil. So தற்கொலை படை மாதிரி. Okay, Queely he herself pour oil and set herself alight. It means கொளுத்தி and walked into the storehouse. So the Queely walked into the storehouse with fire and destroy all the ammunition where the British stored. Okay, and she also employed another agent, also one of his follower named Udayal. He also donated British arsenal, blowing herself. She also blowing herself along with the barracks. Velu Nachar formed the woman. So next we are going to study about Veerapandiya Kattabomman. Okay, so while Velu Nachar was fighting the British and engaging their complete attention on Ramanathapuram and Shivagangai, Veerapandiya Kattabomman, what they do, he resist against the British, and he also, while the meantime, Veerapandiya Kattabomman also he fight against the British. Kattabomman Nayak was the Palekarar of Panchalam Kuruchi. So Kattabomman was the Palekarar of where? Panchalam Kuruchi. Kattabomman Nayak was a family title. Okay, Kattabomman, it is the family name. The Kattabomman Nayak, it's a family title named to him. The chieftains of the Colonel Heron's time was Jagabira Pandya, the grandfather of Veerapandiya Kattabomman. Okay, this Veerapandiya Kattabomman born in which year? 1760. He became the Palekarar on the death of his father. The collection of the tribute means what? Kappam. Okay, the collection of tribute continued to be a problem as there was a constant tussle between the company and southern. So why the problem between the company and the Palayakarars East India Company? Because the collection of tribute means what? Taxes to the company. The company asked the revenue to collect asked the Palekarar to collect the revenue from the people, but the Palekarar opposed to give it. So that's the main problem. That was the main problem between the company and the Palekarar. Okay, so in September 1798, as the tribute from Panchalam Kuruchi fell into arrears. So Panchalam Kuruchi Palayam, they didn't pay their tribute arrears. So the collector Colin Jackson wrote to Veerapandiya in his characteristics arrogance. So the collector wrote a letter to the Veerapandiya Kattabomman to pay the tax arrears back. Then the country experienced a severe drought, but he didn't give the Palekarar didn't give the tax. Why? Because his country experienced a severe drought. Drought means what? Varachi. Okay, in consequence of which the Palekarar found it difficult to collect the tax. So because the country is facing drought, so the Palekarar didn't collect the tax from the people. Okay, Collector Jackson want to send a expedition to punish Veerapandiya. Okay, so the collector he didn't get the tax, so he went an expedition to find to punish Veerapandiya, but the Madras administration did not agree. To punish Veerapandiya Kattabomman to not collect the tax. The company had already withdrawn its forces from Tirunelveli to be employed in the war against Tipu Sultan of Madurai. Okay, so he already withdrawn its forces from the Tirunelveli to what is it against the war against whom? Tipu Sultan of Mysore, and did not desire to risk a conflict in far south at its juncture. Then it directed the collector to summon the Palekarar at Ramanathapuram and hold a discussion, but the collector called the Veerapandiya Kattabomman for a discussion to collect the discussion about to collect the tax. Okay, so accordingly on 18th August 1798 Jackson dispatched an order directing Veerapandiya to meet him at Ramanathapuram within 2 weeks, but the collector ordered Veerapandiya to meet him within 2 weeks. He sent the summon. So after sending the summons, the collector started on a tour of Tirunelveli. Okay. When Jackson halted at Chokkampatti, Shivagiri, Sattur and Srivilliputtur to receive tribute from the Palekarar. So the collector, Colin Jackson, he moved to where Chokkampatti, Shivagiri, Sattur and Srivilliputtur to collect the tax from the Palekarars. So Veerapandiya sought an interview but was told that he could meet the collector only at Ramanathapuram. Veerapandiya Kattabomman tried to meet the Colin Jackson, but what the collector told, he has to meet only him at where Ramanathapuram. Okay. Despite his humiliation, Kattabomman followed the Englishman of 23 days over 400 miles through the latest route and reached Ramanathapuram. So Kattabomman traveled to Ramanathapuram over how many miles? 400 miles, and reached Ramanathapuram on when? 19th September. Okay, an interview was granted the same day, and the collector expressed his satisfaction that the Palekarar had behaved properly and thereby saved himself from ruin. But the collector advised him the Palekarar has to behave properly. So upon a verification of account, Jackson was conceived that Kattabomman has cleared most of the arrears. Thus Kattabomman cleared most of the arrears. So how many balance? Only 1080 pagodas as balance. So we will study about the pagodas. What is pagodas? Okay, which is the pagodas, the amount given in the form of tax. Okay, 1080 pagodas as balance to be settled. The denied of courtesy, the Palekarar and his minister Shiva Subramania Pillai had to stand before the arrogant collector. Okay, so the Palekarar and his minister Shiva Subramaniam, so they have to stand in elector. Finally he directed them to stay inside the Ramanathapuram fort. Okay, now a few sepoy appeared apparently to arrest Kattabomman. So some tax arrears are pending, so the collector planned to arrest Kattabomman, but they were escaped. At the gate of fort a clash occurred in which some including Lieutenant Clark were killed. Shiva Subramaniam, but his minister Kattabomman escaped, but his minister Shiva Subramaniam was taken as prisoner. By whom? By the collector Colin Jackson. Why they prisoner? Because not to pay the tax arrears. Okay, so after his return to Panchalam Kuruchi, so Panchalam Kuruchi Kattabomman was the Palekarar of Panchalam Kuruchi, right? After he returned to Panchalam Kuruchi, Kattabomman wrote to the Madras Council blaming the attitude of Jackson. So he write about Colin Jackson. He complained about Colin Jackson to where? Madras Council. Okay. In the meantime, Governor Edward Clive had issued proclamation. Proclamation means what? Arike, inviting the Palekarar to submit the authority of the company. In the event of surrender, he assured a fair investigation. So what is it? The Madras Council assured Kattabomman for a fair investigation in the Ramanathapuram incident. So if he refused, he threatened Kattabomman with dire consequences. Okay, so in response, Kattabomman appeared before the committee which acquitted him of the charge of rebellion and condemned the conduct of the collector S.R. Lushington. was appointed. So instead that Colin Jackson was replaced, and who became the collector? S.R. Lushington was appointed as the collector in the place of whom? Colin Jackson. Okay, Colin Jackson. Then, however, Kattabomman remained irreconciled. Okay, irreconciled. At the time, Marudu Pandian of Shivagangai, along with the Gopala Nayak of Dindigul and Yadul Nayak of Annamalai, was engaged in organizing a confederacy against the British. In the view of identity of interest, Kattabomman and Marudu Pandian came closer. So, remain irreconciled means what? The problem was, Kattabomman's problem was not yet over. Okay, so the whom and all came a confederacy. Confederacy means what? Kootamaipu. Whom and all? Marudu Pandiyar of Shivaganga, Gopala Nayak of Dindigul and Yadul Nayak of Annamalai engaged in the confederacy. Against whom? Against the British. Okay, so in the view of identity of interest, Kattabomman and the Marudu Pandian came closer. So whom and all came closer? Kattabomman and the Marudu Pandian. Okay. So today up to this over. It is enough. So let us continue the class by tomorrow. Okay. So up to there we have finished. So today's homework is you have to find 20 fill-ups out of the lesson which I taught today, and also yesterday unit 6, right? I think hope you have finished unit 6. So study the unit 7 properly. Okay, so do your work, study well, stay safe. Let us meet in the next class. Thank you.